So I did receive a diagnosis of, and I think this is probably, well, one of two of the biggest issues. It's called adenomyosis. So a lot of women are probably familiar with endometriosis, and that's where the lining of the uterus, the endometrium that builds up every month in preparation for pregnancy inside your uterus, that will grow in other places outside of the uterus, and that's called endometriosis, and that can be pretty horrific in itself. Um, I have the adenomyosis. So that is where the lining, the endometrium that builds up in the uterus, it actually infiltrates and penetrates the walls of the uterus and kind of grows into the uterine wall. And it does this and becomes worse and worse every cycle. So it's embedding into your uterine, the muscle of the uterine wall. So I received that diagnosis, and I also received a diagnosis of post-ablation syndrome. So when I had the endometrial ablation and they thinned and burned, that tissue regenerated because I was so young. I was only 39 years old when I had that procedure, and it should not have been recommended to me at that age because I was so far from menopause that it's more likely to develop post-ablation syndrome, and that's when that lining, it regenerates behind the scar tissue, and then it tries to shed when you have your cycle, and because of the scar tissue, it can't go anywhere. So that also contributes to the extreme pain and inflammation that you feel, and the can trigger all sorts of symptoms, including flu-like symptoms, fever. Your body feels like it's trying to fight off infection or fight something off, and all this inflammation in your body, and it just makes you feel horrible. I also have one of my fallopian tubes is blocked, um, and they found either a fibroid or a polyp in my uterus. Unclear, because they look very similar on scans. So as of right now, until surgery, until everything's removed, we are unclear if it is a fibroid or a polyp. Fibroids tend to be non-cancerous. Polyps are possibility of cancerous. Good news, they're taking out the baby box anyway, right? So we're gonna be ahead of that. So yeah, those were the things that I was able to find out were causing all of my symptoms, all of my pain. Because I had the ablation, I was not a candidate for the IUD, which would have been recommended or should have been recommended to me as a first line of defense against what was happening back when I was in my late 30s and before I had the ablation at 39. I should have tried that, I believe hormonal IUD, to see if that relieved my symptoms. Now with the scar tissue, I cannot try the IUD because of the scar tissue. They can't place it. So that really leaves my only option to be suffer with everything I've been suffering with month after month, or surgery. So my quality of life has decreased rapidly, I would say, in the past, 9 months to a year. And so I don't want to continue suffering month after month. So ultimately, I did agree with the recommendation of my surgeon to having a hysterectomy. That being said, my cervix, my uterus, and my fallopian tubes will be removed on Monday. The intention is to keep both ovaries. They do, at this point, look viable and healthy. The only way that that would change is if they got in there and discovered something that they could not see on the scans. They'll have cameras in there. So, or if they discovered endometriosis that was attached to an ovary or something like that, which, you know, you don't really know if you have that until you have those cameras in there. Endometriosis is very difficult to diagnose unless you actually get in there and look with cameras. It does not always show up on MRIs, CT scans, that sort of thing. So, again, the intention is for me to keep both of my ovaries, and the reason for that is so that I do not enter into surgical menopause. The absolute healthiest way, I mean, we're all headed in that direction, but the absolute healthiest way to enter menopause is naturally, gradually and naturally, because that's years. That starts with perimenopause, right? That starts before the marker of menopause happens. You have, 7 to 10 years or longer where your hormones are beginning to fluctuate and things are changing with your body. So that is the healthiest way, is to go through that process. Obviously, if they take your ovaries surgically, just like that, you're in menopause. I do not want that. I don't think any woman wants to go through that. It absolutely terrifies me. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, at 42, 43 this summer, I don't want to go into surgical menopause. So, fingers crossed that everything they're seeing is absolutely accurate on the scans, and that surgery goes smoothly on Monday and I keep my ovaries. I do understand through research that in removing everything and kind of breaking that natural cycle between those female organs, I do have a higher risk of earlier ovarian failure. So where I might have had another, 10 years or whatever before the onset of menopause, I may have less because of this surgery. But it definitely beats the alternative. The alternative being continue to suffer this decline in my quality of life and suffer through excruciating pain and everything else. Or, do this. So we're going to do this thing and go from there. So I hope this one was a little bit easier to watch. I'll have to go back and listen to it. I hope I did not say as much this go round. So I think the next video, I'm not really sure if I'll do another one before surgery or after. But that's all for now. I am going to try to get back to work, and it's the last couple of days I have before I'm down for a while. So I'm trying to get that money, honey. So thanks again for watching video 1 and video 2, and I hope to see you on the next one.